Hello, my name is Ben. This is a series where I'm going to tell stories of things that happened to me as I grew up. Majority of these are around or have to do with vehicles. That's kind of my thing. They got wheels on it. That's what I'm about. The reason I decided to do these stories is because they're just stories, recollection of things that happened to me as I was growing up that I didn't have a camera around at the time, or didn't have a camera period at the time, and of course no way to edit that. So I'm just going to tell the story, and then I'm going to figure out something to put along with this storyline that I'm telling. Age 14, I've got a Nissan Sentra to drive. Nissan Sentra, as I dropped before. Mom and Dad had a Nissan Sentra. Wasn't worth anything. No point in trading it in. No point in selling it. Just have something to have at the house to drive if you needed to drive something or something like that. If another vehicle broke down, you got that one to drive. Uh, uh, when Mom and Dad were gone, they would allow me to drive this Nissan Sentra around our subdivision. My buddy had brought a friend of his over to his house. And no joke, this guy's name is Michael Knight. Depending on your age, you'll know the reference there from the movie Knight Rider, Michael Knight. So my buddy Sean and Michael Knight. So Mike. So I picked them up. I'm driving, of course. Sean's in the passenger seat. Michael Knight is in the back seat holding the basketball. Um, so we go to the basketball courts. We shoot basketball. We were there for however long, 15, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. And then my buddy Sean's sister shows up on Sean's old go-kart, little 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton go-kart. And immediately we don't want to be around his sister, of course. She's younger, and all she's going to do is just irritate us for whatever reason back then we had for not wanting to be around his sister. So we're like, you know what? Let's just go back to the house and swim or something. So we're walking back to the Nissan Sentra, and the go kart is sitting at the top of the hill, and then Sean's sister, Celeste, starts talking a little bit of trash, and she says she can outrun me in this go kart. She's gonna be faster. She's wanting to drag race me with a Briggs and Stratton 5 horsepower go kart. I mean, give the devil his due. I mean, she's she's gonna call out a full size car. That's pretty gutsy. And she was, man. She was talking trash. She can outrun me. I'm in this Nissan Sentra, which guaranteed had every bit of 80 horsepower. Uh, and she thinks she's going to outrun me in this thing. So I'm like laughing it off. Literally, at age 14, I'm smart enough to know this is goofy. Okay, I'm not even gonna respond to this. This is no point in responding to this challenge. But then again, everybody knows peer pressure and what your friends can get you into. And Sean's like, we're gonna race her. He talks me into it. This is really the first time I'd have been around Michael Knight. He really hasn't said much. He doesn't say much, and he has no input whether we should race or not. He just proceeds to climb into the back seat of the Nissan Sentra, and I'm like, man, ain't no point in it. And Sean's like, yeah, go ahead and race her. Go and race her. Okay, okay, fine, whatever. So Celeste says, well, you have to start the go kart for me, Sean. I can't start it. So I'm like, how are we gonna do this? I mean, Sean's gonna have to start it for her and everything else. So Sean says, what I started for, Ben, we're gonna race from the basketball courts back to Sean's house. It's about I don't know, maybe a half a mile, quarter mile, I don't know what it is, something like that. But there's a little bit of curves in it. So Sean says, all right, Ben, I'm gonna start it. You leave the passenger side door open. She has got her go kart. Picture this. She's got her go kart parked on my driver's side. I'm of course in the driver's seat. Michael Knight is the back seat. The right side of my Nissan Sentra is actually kind of off the road. It's in this little pasture, kind of a field, dirty field off to the right. And then the driver's side of my car is actually on the asphalt road. She is on the go kart, completely in the road, almost dead center. It's not a very big road at all. It's barely big enough for 2 cars to pass in the opposite direction. So he says, Ben, all right, leave the passenger side door open. Go ahead and be ready to go. I'm going to crank her go kart up. And when I come around the back and hit the trunk and say go, you hit it and I'll jump in. Sounds like a wonderful idea at age 14. That's perfect, actually. You could not put together a plan any better than that at the age of 14. So I'm like, yeah, Starsky and Hutch, here we come. He gets back there, gives it a crank, boom, it hits. And I mean, no sooner than the gas can get through the carburetor, her foot is on the floor. She ain't waiting for me to take off. She ain't waiting for Sean to get in the seat. That little Briggs and Stratton is on the floor going down the road. So we got a race on our hands. So Sean takes off. She takes off. Sean takes off behind my car, hits my trunk, says, "Go, go, go." I dump the clutch and actually spin the tires on the Nissan Sentra. Partly because of the dirt, of course, on the right side. So it's spinning on that one. But, you know, you got a little swapping going on there. So every once in a while you hear a little bit off the asphalt side too. And that's cool. So I run through first, and I'm totally focused on getting back by her. I'm first gear, clutch it, bang, second, and it chirps the tires. 1984 Nissan Sentra chirps the tire on the second gear shift. Yeah, I'd like to say that's all my driving right there, brother. But I'd say again, partly it's because I'm still, the right side of my Nissan Sentra is in the gravel and the dirt and the grass of the field that it's halfway into, and the driver's side is halfway on asphalt. So again, you kind of got that thing going on with the tires. So, age 14, I do a second gear shift, bark the tires. I need to look at my buddies and get a little recognition. I've barked the tires. I look to my right, and Sean is not in the passenger seat. Michael Knight is in the back seat. Sean is hanging on to the passenger side door with his right hand, and the passenger seat headrest with his left, dragging alongside my Nissan Sentra whatever speed I'm going to say in a Nissan Sentra can get to at the second gear shift. Let's just be careful and say it's only 35 miles an hour, but I've drug him now officially well over a football field, up to 30 plus miles an hour. Michael Knight is in the back seat. Nobody has said a word to me. Sean is dragging on the door of my car at 30 miles an hour. No one has said a word to me. I am full on focused straight ahead, as I should be as the driver, on my task at hand, and that's getting by a 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton go-kart while dragging another 15-year-old out the door of my Nissan Sentra. So I imagine my eyes were as big as saucers as I looked to my right to see my friend staring at me through the opening of a door of the passenger side of my car, and I jam on the brakes. I can't believe he didn't break the door off from the inertia of me jamming on the brakes. But so I jam on the brakes. We come sliding to a stop, and he slowly stands up and walks from where his feet were dragging near the rear wheel to even upright position, and sits down in the car. His feet from knees down are completely covered in mud and dirt, and there you go. I've drugged my buddy at 30 miles an hour on the side of my car. Again, this is the first time I've ever met Michael Knight, and the first time Michael Knight, to be fair, has ever met me. And I look back at Sean and I'm like, "Are you, dude? Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Let's just go." Almost like he's embarrassed or something. I'm like, "Dude, you know, you can't be embarrassed of that. You were drugged by a car. That's cool." Is what I'm thinking. I didn't say that out loud. So he is responding like a little bit embarrassed. "Yeah, let's go." And I'm like, "Are you sure you're okay?" Because I'm fine. Let's just go. Let's go. And I look back at Michael Knight, and he is still sitting in the back seat with the basketball in his lap, looking straight ahead like he's been riding with his parents to get the groceries. I mean, literally, that's the look on his face. It was so the look of unimpressiveness, I don't know if that's a word for it or not, is what he had. It was like literally he just was, holding the milk that his parents had just got at the grocery store. So I turned back around and put the car in gear, and we gingerly drove on back to Sean's house. Of course, we lost the race, and but had a good story to tell. That was the story where I've raced my Nissan Sentra at age 14 against a go-kart with my buddy Sean and his buddy Michael Knight.